Have you ever found yourself questioning why suddenly everything feels so heavy? So aimless? Perhaps it's that inexplicable discouragement taking over, or maybe the feeling that your strength is draining away for no apparent reason. But what if I told you this could be more than just fatigue or stress? Yes, there's something deeper, something invisible operating behind the scenes of your life. Spiritual attacks. Few people know how to identify when they're the target of this silent war. It's like fighting an enemy you can't see but whose effects you feel every single day. Strained relationships, closed doors, and old habits resurfacing to haunt you are just a few of the signs. And the scariest part? This could be happening to you right now without your awareness. But don't worry, there's hope. In this text, we'll reveal the 7 clearest signs that you're under spiritual attack and, more importantly, teach you how to respond. Get ready to open your eyes to a reality many ignore and learn practical strategies to win this battle. Victory begins here with one simple step: understanding what's behind what you're feeling. Life often confronts us with challenges that seem merely everyday occurrences, but few realize there's a hidden battle taking place. Spiritual attack is like an invisible war waged between good and evil, where the mind, heart, and even our steps become strategic targets. Imagine heading to work and suddenly feeling a wave of discouragement with no apparent cause. Well, that could be more than just fatigue. It's a silent battle. In these moments, putting on the armor of God is as essential as having breakfast. Think of it as a mental and spiritual shield that keeps you steady when everything around you seems to be falling apart. Now, reflect on the idea of resistance. Fighting an invisible enemy requires preparation, just like an athlete training for competition. The Bible teaches that our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. This means the challenges often go beyond what we can see. That argument with a coworker or the discouragement in pursuing your goals could be disguised traps. The armor of God symbolizes daily preparation, such as meditating on biblical verses, practicing prayer, and strengthening your mind with positive thoughts. And as in any battle, identifying the enemy is half the victory. Have you noticed how small negative thoughts grow like weeds? Or how a misunderstanding can destroy relationships? This is where vigilance comes into play. Identify these signs and resist them firmly. This paves the way for deeper understanding, recognizing warning signs and being prepared to face them wisely. After all, every warrior needs to know the right moment to act. Sometimes the signs are right in front of us, but we pass by them as if they were part of the routine. The first warning is the loss of desire to seek God. This can manifest subtly, like skipping your nighttime prayers or avoiding that quiet moment of Bible reading. If you've ever felt that your once vibrant faith now feels more like an obligation, it's time to pause and reflect. Think about ways to rekindle that fervor, maybe by listening to worship songs or revisiting small miracles in your life. Another classic sign is physical exhaustion, which often seems trivial. Have you noticed how, during moments of extreme fatigue, your mind becomes more vulnerable to negative thoughts? That's no coincidence. The body, soul, and spirit are interconnected, and when one weakens, the others suffer too. Taking care of your physical health is also taking care of your spiritual health. Try something simple, like a walk outdoors to refresh both body and mind, or even a strategic pause to take a deep breath amidst the chaos. And then there are those times when doors start closing in strange ways. The lack of resources, whether material or emotional, can be a major trap. In these scenarios, we're tempted to take shortcuts that compromise our values. If a job doesn't come through or financial problems pile up, the enemy tries to make you doubt your faith. But these moments are when trusting in God becomes most crucial. Make a plan, reevaluate priorities, and remember, a grateful heart can transform even the worst crises into opportunities for growth. Knowing your spiritual identity is the first step to winning any battle. Did you know that many Christians live like soldiers without realizing they're at war? Recognizing that you're called to be light in a world of darkness is the foundation for resisting evil. Imagine yourself as a citizen of a heavenly kingdom. This changes everything. To put it into practice, meditate on passages that reinforce your position in Christ, like Romans 8 verse 37, which declares, "In all these things, we are more than conquerors, Another essential attitude is setting aside time and space for prayer. Have you noticed how chaotic days steal even small moments of connection with God? The solution doesn't need to be complex. How about choosing a quiet spot like a corner of your room and establishing a routine? 10 minutes in the morning can transform your entire day. A devotional, even brief, can recharge your spiritual batteries before facing daily challenges. Finally, staying close to spiritual friends strengthens your journey. Remember that uplifting conversation that lightened your heart? That's what we're talking about. Gathering with people who share your faith, whether in prayer groups or church meetings, is like aligning with other soldiers in battle. These moments offer not only support but also a different perspective on problems that seem unsolvable. They prepare us for the next step, keeping the battle active even in the face of temptations. Spiritual warfare is a constant calling for those who seek to live by faith. In this combat, the choice to seek God makes all the difference. Have you noticed how a small decision can change the course of an entire day? When you decide to pray instead of complain or give thanks even in pain, it's like anchoring your ship amidst the storm. The action is simple, but the impact is profound. Start by dedicating time to declaring God's promises out loud. Resisting temptation is also an art that improves with practice and vigilance. Imagine an athlete who needs to resist the temptation to break their diet before a competition. Similarly, a Christian must train their mind and heart to say no to what draws them away from God. A practical tip is to replace bad habits with constructive actions. Read an inspiring book, like The Shack by William P. Young, when you feel like reverting to old patterns. The important thing is to remember that resisting evil is a daily exercise. Maintaining faith in tough times is like carrying a torch in the darkness. It may feel heavy, but it lights the way. Think of biblical stories like Job, who, despite immense losses, never stopped trusting. Today, this could mean keeping a gratitude journal or repeating in prayer, "I believe, Lord, help my unbelief." With this mindset, you not only face challenges but strengthen yourself for the battles to come. The Bible clearly instructs us about vigilance and prayer as essential weapons against spiritual attacks. In Matthew 26 verse 41, Jesus told his disciples, "Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." This passage reminds us that while we may have good intentions, our human nature makes us vulnerable. Imagine a house without locks. Even with high walls, an open door is enough for the enemy to enter. So it is with a spiritual life without vigilance. Praying continuously, as taught in 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 17, is like maintaining a direct line with God. This doesn't mean spending the whole day on your knees, but bringing God into every decision and moment of your day. Have doubts about which path to take or a burden weighing on your heart? Prayer can be your compass. A simple practice is to set aside a few minutes to pray first thing in the morning and end the day with gratitude, acknowledging God's protection throughout the hours. Vigilance is more than being alert. It's being careful about what feeds your mind and heart. Philippians 4 verse 8 encourages us to think about what is true, noble, and pure. What have you been consuming on social media, in movies, or even in conversations with friends? These details shape your worldview and, without realizing it, can open the door to discouragement and doubt. When you combine vigilance with prayer, you build an unshakable fortress, ready to withstand any attack. Now that you know the signs of spiritual attack and the actions needed to overcome them, the challenge remains. What will you do with this knowledge? Spiritual life isn't something we can ignore because it's where we find the strength to overcome the hardest challenges. Are you willing to be more watchful, pray more often, and strengthen your faith? Or will you continue letting circumstances control your destiny? Think about the moments in your life when you felt something greater was at work, whether for good or bad. These moments are invitations to deepen your relationship with God. So the question is, to what extent are you willing to fight for your peace, your faith, and your purpose? Are you ready to put what you've learned here into practice and live a truly transformed life? If this message touched you, make a commitment to yourself and God. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and keep learning how to strengthen your spirituality. You don't have to face this battle alone. and each new video can be an important piece in your victory. Share this content with those you love and take the next step toward an abundant life.